Tyrannosaurus rex has been rebuilt in our imagination more times than almost any extinct animal. Sometimes it becomes faster, sometimes smarter or more terrifying. But a recent hypothesis changes how we imagine the hunt itself. A recent study proposed that shallow water may have made an adult Tyrannosaurus rex more dangerous to smaller prey, not by turning it into an aquatic hunter, but by changing the physics of pursuit. That sounds strange at first, because T-Rex is not an animal we usually imagine near water. The popular image is almost always the same: a giant predator moving across dry land, chasing prey through open terrain. But late Cretaceous North America was not a dry arena built for clean chases. The environments associated with T-Rex were shaped by unstable ground and shifting water. This was a landscape where firm surfaces, mud, river margins, and shallow flooded areas could exist close together. In that kind of world, water was not just background scenery. It could affect how animals moved. And for a predator as large as T-Rex, movement mattered. A fully grown Tyrannosaurus rex was enormous. Its skull and jaws gave it a level of biting power few land predators have ever approached. But a multi-ton biped probably could not rely on long, high-speed pursuit in the way older reconstructions sometimes implied. For an animal that large, running was not only a question of speed, it was also a question of stress, balance, and how much force the bones and muscles could safely handle. By adulthood, T-Rex had become a very different animal. Juvenile tyrannosaurs were probably lighter and more agile, with proportionally longer limbs that suggest a greater ability for pursuit. They may have occupied a different predatory role from the adults, relying more on movement than on sheer force. A full-grown T-Rex was dealing with much more mass. Every quick movement carried a higher cost, and acceleration, braking, and balance all became part of the problem. That does not make the adult clumsy. It makes the physics different. At several tons, even a short burst of speed had to be controlled by bones, muscles, and joints under enormous load. For an adult, the chase was never just about speed. This is where shallow water becomes part of the hunt. In water, a very large body is affected differently. Buoyancy can reduce effective weight, but water also creates drag and instability. The result depends on the depth, the surface underfoot, and the animals involved. The surprising part is the shallow water may not have helped T-Rex by making it fast. It may have helped by making the prey slow. For example, modern predators like tigers and jaguars are still land animals, but near rivers, mud, and shallow water, the prey's escape can become slower and messier. On open ground, a smaller dinosaur could have had the cleaner escape, quicker acceleration, sharper turns, less body mass to control. But in water deep enough to interfere with its legs, that advantage could weaken. The chase would no longer be decided only by who was faster on land. The study proposed that adult large theropods may have had a locomotory advantage in those conditions. That does not mean T-Rex was sprinting through rivers like some impossible monster. It means shallow water may have reduced some disadvantages of extreme body mass, while making escape harder for smaller animals. The hypothesis works best as a possible behavior, not a new identity. T-Rex did not need to be adapted for life in water to exploit shallow water occasionally. It only needed to live in a world where water was common and where prey sometimes had to move through it. But this is also where the hypothesis has to slow down. The study is theoretical. It works from body size, locomotor scaling, and the physical effects of shallow water, not from a fossilized chase scene. Water could reduce some stresses on a massive animal, but it could also resist movement, hide unstable ground, or turn a shallow margin into a dangerous surface for a multi-ton biped. The prey would not behave like a diagram either. A frightened animal can hesitate, slip, turn suddenly, or avoid the worst ground altogether. So the serious version of the hypothesis is not that shallow water made T-Rex unstoppable. It is that a flooded margin could sometimes make the outcome of a chase less predictable. That fits a broader picture of T-Rex as an opportunistic large carnivore, not an animal trapped inside one simple label. It could hunt, scavenge, follow weak animals, use terrain, and take advantage of moments when prey made a mistake. A predator that large probably did not survive by doing only one thing. The fossil evidence still points to an animal with a formidable bite. Its skull was massive, its jaws were deep, and its teeth were built for puncturing rather than delicate slicing. Studies of its bite mechanics suggest enormous forces, and trace evidence shows that tyrannosaurs could bite deeply into bone. There's also direct evidence that T-Rex attacked living prey. A hadrosaur tail vertebra preserves a tyrannosaur tooth crown embedded in the bone, with healing around the injury. That healing makes simple scavenging very unlikely in that case. So, shallow water does not replace the normal picture of T-Rex as a terrestrial predator. It only adds one possible hunting context. A predator with that kind of bite did not need to win every chase across open ground. It needed moments when the prey's usual advantages failed. Shallow water could have been one of those moments. The important part is not to confuse environment with identity. Once water enters the story, it becomes tempting to push T-Rex toward the same mental category as Spinosaurus. But that is exactly where the comparison can go wrong. Spinosaurus is useful here because it shows what a very different kind of theropod looks like. An animal whose anatomy and fossil record are much more closely tied to aquatic environments. That is the real value of the hypothesis, not a new version of T-Rex, and not a secret aquatic lifestyle. Just a giant terrestrial predator using one more part of his world.